Happy Monday morning, everybody. I want to kick off with a couple of themes that are sort of running through, and actually it ties into our conversation a little bit around Christmas today in terms of my inactivity around the whole thing. But perfection is the enemy of progress, right? Where do we get stuck because we don't think we have enough information, or we don't think we have the resources, or we don't have the perfect? And I know Mike is a really big proponent on this because I hear him say this all the time, right? Just do it. Just go ahead and do it. If we have to relearn from that, and if we have to adjust and we have to revisit the process, that's okay, because it's not a mistake. We would have learned from the process, right? But where are we held up because of perfection versus just taking action, just doing something and just moving that lever forward? Now, from a real estate standpoint, and from you guys, a lot of that ties into making the phone calls, right? Or putting yourself out there for appointments, or reaching out to individuals that you maybe think, well, maybe they're out of my price range, or maybe I'm not qualified to help them with this purchase, right? So we hesitate until we feel like, well, I need to have all that information. I need to have a degree, or I need to have the package, or I need to have whatever that is. And really, honestly, perfection is the enemy of progress. So yeah, we're here working like crazy dogs, trying to get you some really good listing packages and some great buyer packages, and you have tools to work with out there, so you're not going in there empty-handed. But where today do you need to just kind of take a step and move and make a phone call or do something maybe that you don't feel 100% prepared for? Like, I'm not 100% prepared for Christmas, for sure, for sure. Actually, I think I'm about negative 50% prepared for Christmas, right? But what can you do? What moves that forward? Who has some thoughts around that this morning?
Just start. At least start and do something, right? And you might feel good about it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, I could do that too, right? But at least you got into it, and I think your mind will change, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on that note, Renee, what sometimes we think, well, I don't have this information, or I don't have this resource, and I don't know about this. But what if you just start, and that opens up and puts things in front of you that you didn't know were possible?
Or even,
because that happens so much of the time, where I think, well, I don't have that, but then all of a sudden, something's in front of you to evaluate and look at that gets you closer to what you actually wanted, and you didn't even know that was a possibility.
Yeah.
Good. What else? What else is that trigger for you when I say that perfection is the enemy of progress? Come on, I know it's Monday morning. I know it's early, but it's going to be this kind of week. Like, this is why we do these Monday morning, right? Because this is what gets us into action. I know Carla sends me messages all weekend. I'll see you Monday morning, right? She's not missing this. She's getting up. She's getting dressed. She's showing up. You're muted, Carla.
I'll just share a little bit. So for me, I do like to be able to have all the answers. I want to be that expert realtor, right? But the fact of the matter is, I have to just acknowledge that I don't have all the answers, right? So I have to be comfortable with that, and that's okay. I think buyers understand, let me get an answer for you or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. Let me connect you with our preferred lender or something to that effect. So it's just starting, like Renee said, starting. And the other hard part for me is the objections. Coming from new development sales is a little bit different. Working with buyers out there or sellers, all these objections about rates, and I want to wait, and I want to rent, versus buying. I'm not ready. I can't commit. There's a million objections. And how do you help them overcome those objections? Mm-hmm. That for me personally has been a challenge. Mm-hmm. And how to feel prepared to help them overcome those objections.
Yeah. And that's a good place for us to sort of mastermind in the sales meeting too, a little bit around objections, right? Objection handling, just to get some new ideas, right? What is that different approach? Like, so the same question I'm asking you when you ask the clients, what would it look like if you could purchase now? What would that look like, right? If you could purchase now, and what could be the advantages of that? Well, the market could go up in the next 6 months. while you wait for the rates to drop. So you could get equity anyway. And then if the rates drop, you could refinance anyway, right? So sort of meeting them where they're at and understanding why they're there, and then giving them a solution that helps maybe move them to the table a little bit faster. Right? Because we know from Andrew's conversation, right? My son did that. He bought last spring and refinanced in 6 months because he moved on a good deal, even though he didn't want to before the wedding. And then he refinanced and dropped the mortgage down in 6 months. That wasn't a big pain, but he got a better price on the condo because he moved faster, right? So painting those solutions for people. Where are you stuck in perfection? Because we all do it, right? I mean, you can sit here and say we don't do it, but we know we all do it. We all know we all do it. Even those of us that are bold and look like we're taking great steps, there's still a little voice in our head in some area of our life that's like really holding us back, right? No matter what we say we do, or no matter how we look to the public, there's always that little bit of hesitation. And Mike, I was actually thinking about your limiting beliefs exercise that we did with the leadership team. That's something I need to share with the sales team, because that's a really good exercise around just really kind of understanding what's the little voice in your head telling you, like where are you hesitating?
I think that's a great exercise, and I was just going to say, like, perfectionism and this idea of like it leads to procrastination oftentimes, and so that has been, for me, I'll admit, it's been a big problem for me to have run into that and have to be like, okay, this has to be perfect. And so one of the things I always like to think about is, when I get stuck in that rut, is I usually try to think to myself, hey, there's no such thing as failing. All failing is learning or practicing. There's no such thing as failing. You're just learning or practicing, right? And if you think about it like that, like, you can't screw it up. You're always learning or you're always practicing. And just move, and you know, it makes it easier to figure things out when you just act and move.
Yeah, and actually, and like I said, things show up for you when you do that, right? Things that you didn't expect, solutions that you didn't expect, people, ideas, money, time. Sometimes things shift, right? I bet Renee and Steve didn't expect me to show back up in Boston and open that door for them, right?
Really? Who?
And even you guys that are here, right? Susan was out looking with Mike, saying, okay, we got to knock down every door, right? You never know where that next opportunity comes from. So today I want you to look at it from, what if you could? What if you could? What if there was no limitation of time? What if there was no limitation of resource? What if there was no limitation of education or capability? And actually you just trusted yourself, and that the words and the actions would come if you just sort of started the motion. Right, like Renee said, just start the motion, pick up the phone, make that first phone call, just do that one thing to kind of put things in the right motion. Then what does that lead to for this week? All right, you're going to go get them because nobody wants to talk this morning. So I want you to keep in the back of your mind, perfection is the enemy of progress. Maybe put that on your computer, and just like Mike said, just take the steps. It's as long as we learn from it and we don't repeat it, it's not a failure.
Right.
And for most of us, you know, we've all done some pretty epic screw ups in our life. I've got a few stories, but we only have a couple of those stories truly from our life that are like epic, you know, failures. And then even then, you know, stuff comes out of that too. Stuff comes out of that. Lessons come out of that. New relationships come out of that vulnerability, whatever that is, that it progresses things forward. So go make those phone calls, go reach out to those people, go do what you need to do for you, the holidays, and your business today, remembering that perfection is the enemy of progress.
That's it.
All right, go get them. And if you guys are ready for leads, I got a pile of them this morning. So Steve, I got you on the list. Anybody else is looking for a few, let me know. We'll get the ball rolling today.
All right. Thanks, Paula.
Make it a great one. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Paula. Bye.